Hey y'all, this is old Jesse. Um, it's today's topic is morals number 18, and it comes from Genesis chapter 13, 14, and it goes something like this. Don't choose good things that are evil, and don't don't take gifts from evil people, right? Because it's talking about Sodom. Like Lot chose to live near Sodom, and he was choosing a good thing for himself, but that good thing contained evil, or the potential for evil. And then, you know, Sodom got invaded because God was unhappy with it. And then, later on, Sodom got completely destroyed and Lot was thrust out. So, and that's a different chapter entirely. So I want you to think about, like, if you're choosing a good thing for yourself, don't choose something good that contains evil. Like, it's not acceptable to take the good with the evil. You only choose the good. Okay? And that sounds like, well, gee, you can't always do that. Well, yeah, you can. It might make your life a little bit harder in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to be better. Okay? And with that comes, like Abraham went out, defeated Kedorlaomer, got Lot and his wife and his servants and stuff, brought them back with all their goods and everything. And then the king of Sodom was like, here, take a bunch of stuff, just let me have the human beings. And it's like, oh, really? You want to have the human beings to, do sodomy with, huh? Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. No, never give wicked human beings your children. Now, sometimes you might not understand the full depth and depravity of the wickedness, right? And so that's a different thing. So, and to some extent, I've got to say, I've experienced that personally with my children. They were supposed to be raised religious, good Christians, and good moral individuals. I was teaching them Hebrew and I was teaching them Greek and teaching them good morals. And, I broke up with their mother. And I didn't expect her to go to a different religion, what I would call a lesser form of Christianity that doesn't study. And they go to church and they sing happy songs, and that's about it. They're not taught anything. They're not taught the old languages. They're not taught in-depth morals. Their mother doesn't teach them at home. So, like, there's a thing that's like, all right, you might be choosing a good thing for yourself. Don't, like, because I chose a wife that I thought was a good thing, right? Asking for a wife is not a bad thing. Just remember, don't choose a bad thing that contains, or a good thing that contains evil, because it has a very high potential to turn into a bad thing. And when it does, that can destroy everything. And so keep that in mind. I don't have a good way to explain that. It's also like you get a job from somebody. Well, you find out that whoever you're working for is really an evil person. Now, you can stay there, you can work for them, and never feel good about yourself in your entire life, or stay there and have to keep your mouth shut because well, modern society expects people to get along with bad morality, and it's like, well, okay, maybe I need to take a different job or do something else with my life because I shouldn't put up with this. So that's a big moral. and it's hard to implement because it kind of makes life hard. Personally, I've had problems where, you know, just being Christian has gotten me fired, or what have you, or laid off as they call that, or they just didn't need you anymore. And it had nothing to do with work ethic or anything like that. So be aware of that. But at the same time, be aware that if that happens to you, then you're free. You're free to do whatever you want in life. And just because you have bills or whatever doesn't mean you're not free. Right? So, not everybody is in Abraham's position where he had servants and land and wealth to fall back on. And we're not meant to be in that position. However, we still have to make the moral choices that we need to make, and choosing to take good with a blend of evil is just as bad as choosing the evil to begin with, because the consequences of it are absolutely disastrous given time. I've experienced that for myself, in not just in my marriage, but with jobs, with my land, because I bought land and it had bamboo on it, right? And I was like, well, you know, I'll just get out there and clear it off. Well, look at that. Look at that, what's behind me. Okay? It keeps growing back. And you'd think, oh, that's not evil. If you want your land to be able to grow crops, don't buy it with bamboo or an invasive species. It's a different kind of evil. It's not like a sinful kind of evil, but it's a hard evil. It's like something you have to struggle against. So make sure that whatever you're doing with your life, choose the good, reject the evil, and never take a blend of both. Okay? Unless you plan on being evil. And in that case, well, you shouldn't even be watching this video. Go do something else, because I don't want to advise you. Right? No good sense in teaching an evil person, even by whatever. You know, like I don't like that. I don't like teaching evil people wisdom, because they take something and they twist it and they make it wrong. So that's the thought there. Now, you know, you probably ought to read through the chapter 13 and 14 of Genesis and think about it, and read through when Lot, you know, when God rained fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah, and think about that too, because, you know, Lot didn't choose that once. He chose it once, got raided and stolen by Chedorlaomer, and was freed by Abraham. They tried to fix the problem that he was having, and then he went right back to it. And not only went back to it, but went and lived in it. He went and lived in the evil. And so what happens when you have good and evil mixed is that after a while you become numb to the evil. And then you become evil, or those around you become evil. And that's not a wholesome thing. Sometimes it's better to live by yourself in the country and cut off all the evil in your life. And that's what I'm going through now. I'm trying to do that. But I would like to be able to go and retain my children and talk to them and teach them and be a good Christian man. But society of today almost doesn't provide any good without the evil. And so as Christians, as believers in the Bible, or as Jews, or what have you, depending on who you are, we need to be very, very careful of what society invites us to have. You know, whether that be politics or religion, because a lot of religions are fun. They're fun. It's fun to go to church, sing, watch movies, hang out with people, do little parties, all that fun stuff. But if you spend no time actually sitting down and learning your Bible and learning the Hebrew language, learning Greek, learning what the morals in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes are in the Bible, then you haven't done anything to grow as a Christian or as a Jew, right? And if you don't grow in maturity, then there is no eternity. And so that's the danger that of the evil, right? Is that it's fun, but there's no spiritual maturity. And then the other danger is like when you look at Lot, his wife became evil, his daughters became evil, and all of his servants became evil. Only Lot survived, okay? And he went into the area of Sodom, not Sodom itself, but the area of Sodom the first time with great wealth. And the latter end of that is the evil devoured both him, his substance, and his family. And was so impactful on him that he came out a drunk and became an incestuous man. Okay, because he had sex with his daughters, right? That's the impact that evil has on a person. Like that little bit of choice of, oh, well, a little bit of evil is okay. No, evil is not okay. It is not okay. And so you have to stand up to it in all parts of your life. And the decisions are hard sometimes. Like, you know, it's not easy to just say, no, I can't take the evil with the good. Especially when we're surrounded by a world that's all that you get, you know. So just think about that. This moral is a little bit harder to follow in this day and age than it used to be, perhaps. But always consider whenever you're buying something, you know, is it what you want? Should you pay a higher price for better quality? If you're going out to eat, is there a bar in the restaurant? Is the food healthy for you? If you're going to buy a house, is it in a bad neighborhood? Are the local neighbors Christian? You know? If you're going to watch a TV show, does it have bad stuff in it? If you're in business, do you have to lie to make the money? Do you have to cheat and steal in order to break even? Don't choose to take the evil with the good. It has destroyed better men than me and you. Enough said. No human being constantly exposed to evil for long durations in their life is unaffected by it. Eventually, we fail. And Lot is a very prime example of that. He failed to alcohol and incest. And that's, like, I haven't done that. I have no intention on doing that. But I know that I have failed on alcohol and temper, right? Because when people do stupid things, you get mad. And then you drink because you got depression and stuff because bad things happened, right? But we're not supposed to fail at all. And I also know that if you're put in a bad situation that you can't escape from, eventually your human mind will break. And that's what we call insanity. And it may take a few years to put yourself back together, or you may never do that. Okay? And so don't take the good with the evil. Even if you're thinking you're doing something kind for somebody else, don't do it. I speak from personal experience. Don't do it even if you think you're doing something kind. Because, if you marry a person that maybe you know that they have the possibility of evil in them, well, you're going to be attached to that for life. And if they become that evil that you thought that you were worried about, then you got a big problem. Okay? And so, if you buy a piece of land and it's polluted and you want to make a good thing out of it, well, you had better have the money to fix it first off. Because if you don't, then the government's going to get involved and you're going to get all kinds of fines just from buying it, right? It's the same kind of thing. If you're located near a bad area, then yourself and your children are going to be affected by that over time, right? Don't choose to take evil with good. Only choose the good for yourself, because there's enough evil in our ordinary surroundings that we don't need to choose more evil on top of that. The struggle is already hard enough. So only pick and only choose the good. And for me, at this point in time, I would choose good for myself. I would choose to have a job. I would choose to clean and build my own property. I would choose to have time with my children. I would choose religious study, and I would choose good politicians for America, and I would choose good for humanity. But we live in an evil time, and Yahweh He has prophesied things that are outside of the ordinary Christian control. So, just remember, even though we live in an evil time, choose good for yourself and not evil. That's a biblical moral. All right, y'all. Have a good one.